Sagittarius rising. How you doing, Sag? This is your reading for the Sagittarius new moon happening in your sign. It's quite an energetic moon that's coming in. There's a lot of fire going on. Hello and welcome. My name's Chloe. I work with card divination, astrology, and I channel multidimensional energies through my body, as you just heard. I'm being a bit of a perfectionist now with this. So I'm going to break down the astrology for the Sagittarius rising. So I read for the rising signs. But this never invalidates anyone. Like if you've got Sagittarius in any other part of your chart, just look to the house that it's in, the themes of that house, and you want to apply those themes as well as all the meaning you've got going there. So you've got Sagittarius sun, moon, whatever else going on. You want to apply all of that to the messages that come through in this reading, because it will be as if that Sagittarius energy has now energetically moved to the first house. So the astrology will always still link in. You just got to add on your natal chart meaning on top of it. So I'm going to be breaking down the astrology for Sagittarius rising. As I do so, I'm going to be pulling some tarot cards. We're going to be figuring out, okay, what's the root intention of this new moon. I work with 6-month cycles. So the energy that comes through here, this new cycle that we're beginning in the sign of Sagittarius, is going to take you up to the Sagittarius full moon next year. So, the first part is going to be, what's the kind of root intention of what this new moon's all about? I'm going to pull a couple of cards on the challenge over the next 6 months, right? So often we get both sides of the same coin, as well as some cards to amplify the intention. Might pull a couple of cards on the Mercury retrograde as well, because it's very much linked into the Sagittarius and then the Gemini full moon lunation cycle. It went retrograde. When did it go retrograde? Tuesday the 26th. I'm recording this on Thursday. This is Jupiter's day, and obviously you are ruled by Jupiter. And then Mercury's going to go direct on the day of the Gemini full moon. So this particular lunation cycle is pulling in this Mercury retrograde. So I'm going to pull a couple of cards on that for you to see what's going on. What's Mercury up to? It's in your sign, Now, if you want a deeper reading on this new moon, obviously Sagittarius is one of your biggest lunations of the year. I've done a collective reading. And this is where I break down the astrology in way more detail of how the whole chart is talking to each other, that then forms an energetic blueprint, right? It's a download that we're then all working with collectively. And so pulled a lot of cards on that as well, some collective tarot cards as well. And so it's like the baseline for this reading. So if you want to pause this video, go watch that, then come back and then see what's showing up in particular for you, my lovely Saggies. Interesting channeling going on. It's sort of quite vibrant. There's a lot of mixture. Lots of different energies wanting to come through. Okay, I'm here for it. Right, so we're doing 2 cards for each of the piles, and then what's at the bottom of the deck. It's so Sag risings. This is happening in your first house. This is the house of self. It's one of the most important houses. It's the Hellenistic tradition, which is what I work with from the Greco-Roman period over 2,000 years ago, as well as the Vedic tradition over in India, which is the longest consistent tradition of astrology. They prioritize the ascendant and the moon. The Hellenistic tradition prioritizes the ascendant, and then the Vedic tradition does the ascendant and the moon on top. So it's always quite interesting for me, considering the gateway for most people is their sun sign, which is important, don't get me wrong, but that ascendant is your embodiment of self, right? If you think of, all depends if you've got a day or a night chart, which luminary, i.e. the sun or the moon, is acting as the captain of your ship, right? And that passes information to your ascendant, and your ascendant is a navigator, right? The of the ship. It has its own way of getting where the captain wants it to go, right? So it's how you move through the world, and then whatever luminary isn't your ruler is like the ship, is the vessel. So as I said, it's your embodiment through your actions and your deeds. It's the lens in which you move through the world. It's your body, it's your character, it's your sense of self, and it's often how other people see you. Often if you're playing the guessing game in terms of what's my star sign, you're more than likely going to be picking up on the ascendant over the sun or the moon. Depends if they've got a really dominant sun or the moon. And so this is a fresh new energy coming in, right? With all the wisdom that you've learned from that Sagittarius full moon that had Jupiter and Venus conjunct each other in the sign of Taurus. We've been working with all of that energy, and now we're activating a new cycle. And this is a new cycle of self, a fresh new understanding of yourself, wanting to plant seeds around really being able to embody yourself fully in your inherent frequency. This can be, say, you've got some difficult issues around how you're perceived, or your body, and those sort of things. This can be a great new moon to sort of work through that energy and elevate your understanding of self. And as I said, just establish a stronger connection of your actions and your deeds that's in alignment with your soul's frequency. Can just be like one of the best intentions you can set with a new moon, as well as if you've got issues around how you're perceived, right? And so often we externalize our energy to the outside world, and this can very much setting an intention around working through that, and not being diminished by other people's expectations. And that was a big kind of theme that came through in the collective reading. You know, you're fire, you're mutable in nature, you're ruled by Jupiter. There is this energy of the side quest and going your own way and not necessarily knowing all the details of the journey, but very being, this moon is establishing a level of confidence of being very independent and autonomous in our journeys, right? Rather than performing for the collective, conforming to social norms. This is really allowing us a stronger confidence, right? After that Taurus full moon that was really liberating our physical vessel to feel good and feel abundant in this incarnation, now we've got a hell of a lot of fire, which is instinct, right? So now our instincts are more in alignment with that abundant reality that is now emerging in our lives. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but the level of synchronicities that have been going on, not only with myself but with other people, that it's where we're just seeing the threads all come together in a really strong, vibrant way. So new moon in your sign. This is at 9 degrees and 32 minutes. Disha ni ma to fiala. Disha ni moyala di ela. And so if you've got anything in Sagittarius around those degrees, you're going to feel it really loudly. But anything going on in Sagittarius, the sign of Sagittarius itself is going to be very much impacted, obviously, by this new moon. So what is going on with this new moon? Well, we've got a grand fire trine. We have Mars over in Leo, and we have the North Node over in Aries, and all of this are making harmonious aspects to each other, right? A trine is ruled by Jupiter. So all of that sort of integration, expansion, elevation, wisdom, a sense of knowing, sense of faith, sense of truth, the bigger picture energy. And then there's a sense of generosity of spirit with Jupiter, right? This sense of the good times. And that can bring about that confidence of that deeper knowing that gets embedded, can bring about a sense of opportunities and luck because you're more in alignment. Woo! Everything's flying. Where's that one? So, grand fire trine. All fire signs, all yang signs, so they're really in alignment with each other. And it's like the when the three come together and activate the superpowers. Where's that from? I mean, from a lot of things. I think Charmed is definitely one of those things, that everything's in union around our passions, right? Our courage, our drive, but it's our instinct, right? It's not the physical sensation, it's not the emotional thought or emotional resonance or the thought. It is just the instinct to do. And so this is a big fire energy. Mars is over in Leo, which is for you is all about your perspectives, right? How you map yourself out in the world. And it is going to go retrograde soon in the sign of Leo and then go back into Cancer. But we've still got a forward moving Mars in the 9th house, which is you're just noticing through your actions and your deeds, that martial energy, where perspectives are no longer serving you, where you're noticing, oh, the actions that I'm taking feel a bit clunky, they don't really feel like they're in alignment with me anymore. It's always great when that happens, because then you can see where the shifts are happening, and you can realize, oh, no, that's not to do with me anymore. That's a different version of self. As well as witnessing your motivation and your drive and your actions following the higher alignment of your perspectives. You may be taking more action around learning and mastering something, of sharing your perspectives, like your deeds, like the way that you take action is really resonant to those yourself and those around you. That's in alignment with perspectives. And then we've got the North Node in Aries. And, you know, Aries, hyper independent, really wanting to go into new territory. You have that in your 5th house of your creation energy, right? Everything else I'm going to say comes from that, right? So it's how you create in the world from a very individual space. It is the pleasure principle, amusement, games, play, children, both literal children and inner child stuff, as well as creative things you birth into the world, as well as romance, dating and love, right? It's the fun house. It's the house of joy. Interesting. Okay. And so the North Node is there. So you've been striving to head into new territory around your creation energy that's very confident and independent and autonomous. And then we've got Mars, who's also incredibly independent up in your perspectives. And they're all funneling into this new moon of getting an alignment around activating a level of your core response mechanisms to be linked into your creativity, to find that you're moving through the world from a more creative outlet, right? A more expansive, playful, imaginative, curious space with your creativity. And also I can see coming up with this new moon that's going to unfold is if you've got any wounds around that, if you've got any wounds around joy and how you find it, or romance and dating or children, that's impacted your perspectives, Mars, and the actions that you take, right? This new moon is going to help you work through a lot of that, as well as activating a realignment of your embodiment of self, your perspectives around your actions from Leo, the heart space, in alignment with your creation energy. That's very personal and very unique to you. So that's some big fire energy. Now, we want to look to the ruler of your sign, Sagittarius. Right, that's at the bottom of the deck. I'm now going to pull a couple of cards for Mercury. We're going to do what's the intention, what's the challenge, and what's the focus. There's going to be one card for each and a card at the bottom of the deck. So Jupiter is over in Gemini, opposite your sign, Sagittarius. Been going on for a while now. If you haven't seen the Jupiter in Gemini transit series, I would recommend it, simply because it's an opposition. You're not going to get Jupiter in Gemini for another 12 years. So to really amplify that energy, plus what came through with that collective Jupiter in Gemini reading was just, it's such a powerful energy to then apply to everything consistently. So Jupiter's over in your 7th house. This is the house of the other. Right, this is about the one-on-one people in your life, the important people in your life that you work with on a one-to-one basis, right? This sort of the intimate energy, the commitment energy that we get with the other. And it is about like intimate friends, clients, one-on-one clients, business partners, long-term committed romantic relationships, as well as your relationship with Source. And often with the 7th house, it can be, especially Jupiter moving through that. I've got Jupiter in the 7th retrograde, and Jupiter's retrograde at the moment. Is often where you find yourself questioning things around the other, and how you want to show up to the other, how you want the other to show up to you. It's often when we have 7th house transits, it can be about externalizing ourselves to the other in order to understand ourselves at a deeper level. Jupiter in the 7th can be about someone important coming into your life. There's a longer term commitment. That's not always the case, and I often find it is a redefinement, especially when it's retrograde, of what that sense of connection and wisdom and truth about the other, and what, you know, that level of commitment and intimacy all comes to the surface, and you just find yourself questioning through often the behavior of other people about how you want to be, as well as providing a great space to help facilitate the other question their own beliefs and their own faith. Now we've got here, because of that Aries energy, we've got your 5th and your 7th being activated, and obviously they are the 2 houses that link into sort of more of the romantic connections. And overall, very strongly, I feel like if you're not getting the level of resonance of alignment through your instincts in your actions with the other, you're going to come to very quick resolutions and understandings of what's good for you and what's not good for you over the next 6 months, and really establish a higher level of that, with Jupiter being in the 7th. So Jupiter is in Gemini. Who rules Gemini? Well, that's Mercury, and Mercury's over in your sign, Sagittarius. So this is what's called mutual reception, where 2 celestial bodies are in each other's signs. They're essentially psychically hotline to each other. They are nanu, right? They are facilitating each other's journeys. What's going on with one is often influencing what's going on with the other, and vice versa. I've had lots of conversations with people where they're already noticing this in the lead up to this new moon, around what's coming up, and both of the houses are being activated. We also had this mutual reception ruling the Taurus full moon, even though it was a Venus moon. The energy transfer went back to these 2, and they were ruling it. So there was a lot around perception and the information that we're collecting and how to orientate ourselves in this new frequency, right? Regulars, you know, sort of the story arc at the moment is that we are shifting into a more conscious, embodied 3D understanding of the magical reality that we live in. And we're acclimatizing to this new dynamic, right? Where we're getting more and more energy and resonance in more towards the magical reality than the denser frequencies. And so we're playing this role at the moment of working through the denser frequencies, as well as being aware of the new tools that we're working with and implementing them and putting them into practice. And so we've got this very instinctive energy after that embodiment, where we're kind of launching on a new super journey, a new super quest. So there is something around here around either and or working through a lot of wounds around love, around union and companionship, and how that impacts you and how you move through the world, right? So often we can externalize our sense of selves to those dynamics, and then we're masking, we're performing, we're not necessarily fully embodied. And this moon feels very much like a activation of a full embodiment. So we've got that Mercury energy influencing Jupiter, and so Mercury's retrograde, so it's a revision of self, understanding, a revising of how you perceive and collect information, and then use that energy to then move through the world and take action, how you communicate about yourself, how you understand yourself, and so a real sense of focal point on you doing some deep inner work. Retrogrades for me are very yin in nature, right? They really observe, and they strategize, and they bring nuance and depth to a situation because they're going back over the same degrees 3 times. So there's a real sense of deepening of the quality of the understanding. So you have this feedback loop with two retrograde rulers, right? A real sort of inner recalibration around wisdom of knowing, and the details that we're collecting and how we're communicating that, right? So I could see some really healthy relationship conversations, as well as say you've got clients and you're working one-on-one with them, and you're going through this sort of journey of reassessing, realigning, questioning whatever it is that you're offering with clients. Like there's a real sense of capacity of bringing a real deep questioning to something, like and questioning something that may have felt very core in nature. Ishalidia, that really serves a real opening up of pathways and opening up of the expansion of the capacity to move and change, right? Mutability, be able to adapt and shift in this new understanding. Now Mercury, who is ruling Jupiter, is making a trine with Chiron over in Aries, right, in that 5th house of creation energy. So Chiron is the wounded healer, the master teacher, and so often will bring up core wounds for us to look at and find the wisdom in the wound. And so with this Mercury retrograde trining Chiron at the beginning of the retrograde, right, and so it's really imprinting into it, there's a lot of stuff around creativity, of love, right, of pleasure, of joy, of amusement, of children, of romance, all of these things. Mercury's helping you go inwards in yourself, of realizing, okay, well, what is in my body, right, that influences the way that I move, that's come from a limiting response, a limiting scenario, a limiting belief when it comes to all those themes of the 5th house. And your capacity to sort of sit in yourself and observe and reflect on how you communicate, the language that you're using in regards to those things internally and externally, that you're really getting a lot of support here to realign back to a stronger truth of self, away from any distortions you may have faced growing up or in romance and dating and all that kind of thing that has just sort of limited the freedom of movement that you have within yourself. All my hips are wiggling at that one. These Mercury retrograde cards. And oh, there we go. Oh, there, 1, 2. Right, what was I doing? The intention, the challenge, and how to amplify. Ooh, okay. Diania, moi, right, okay, let me sort these out. Diana, right. Let's, what else did I want to say? That's kind of the core stuff. There's some cool stuff going on with Venus that came through in the collective reading, of sense of a level of maturity around love and creativity, and really establishing like just like the moon and Venus are out of bounds, and this means that they're really above the arc of the sun, right? So they're not between the sun and the earth, they're between the sun and the galaxy. And so there's a real sense of future thinking, out of conventional energy around our emotional body and the way that we connect and create, that is, as I said, allowing just new pathways of how we move through the world from a very independent space, open up, right, or releasing a lot of, the Devil card came up in the collective reading, releasing a lot of like those poor impulses, those compulsions that we have from early years, as well as building from our power. Right, let's crack on with the tarot. So the intention of this new moon, we got the 8 of Wands, which is Mercury in Sagittarius with the 3 of Cups, and the Ace of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. So this is an alignment of self, right? This journey, this unfolding, all these wands are heading in the same direction. So rather than having like confusing energy within yourself of how you embody yourself, this moon is bringing in a heightened level of alignment, and also a clarity in the way that you communicate and the way that you perceive and the way that you understand. And then the 3 of Cups. I love this as a first house card because this feels like an inner flow, an inner celebration, an inner abundance, an inner recognition and alignment. I did say the 3 being activated as well. And we bring in the sort of, they're having fun, right? They're enjoying their life. And that's that Aries North Node energy with the perspective in your emotional body of how you look at the world. That is bringing in a level of play, right? That 5th house of creative energy, and then the actions that you're taking that then lead to these situations. But overall, I'm really getting like an inner flow that is bringing about a sense of celebration in the way that you move through the world, the way that you see yourself, and really being very supportive of your journey. And then we got the Ace of Pentacles, a fresh new beginning in the material world, right? Your body and how you move through the world, big fresh energy coming in. I love the Ace of Pentacles. It has the same flowers as the Magician, right? And we've got this mountain in the background. We go through this portal, and that's kind of activating heaven on earth kind of energy, or 5D in the 3D realm, or the new earth energy, where we're in a space where we can create from a higher perspective that creates abundance. So I really like that for a first house of like your physical vessel feeling renewed, you feeling more present on this planet, that is allowing you to create from a higher perspective. So as I said, those wounds that you're going to be working through is clearing the way for you to really be in your own frequency. Now the challenge, what's the challenge? We have Six of Swords in reverse, the Ace of Swords with the Five of Swords that was at the bottom of the deck. So big sword energy, right? This is all the mind. This is perspectives. This is words that we say. This is communication. This is Jupiter over in Gemini with a Mercury in Sagittarius. This is very in alignment. So the challenge, we've got that Six of Swords in reverse. The challenges that's going to come up over this is feeling like you don't know that you're transitioning into a new phase, right? This is the six is moving to calmer waters, right? So there's an element of unawareness of your being in a transitory stage over the next 6 months, and with that there's a block around your perspectives when it comes to thriving, right? This feels like this is holding on to survival mechanisms. And I mean, the trick with this one is we've got the Ace of Swords and the Five of Swords, and what this feels like is you're going to get through this challenge. You're going to get a lot of divine inspiration, a lot of clarity around situations where there's conflict, right? So the Five of Swords is very conflict orientated. It is about the bully in the room and the victim mentality and how we are often representing both of those things. The bully was usually the victim. They've won the Three of Swords. They're really happy that they've won this Three of Sword energy, and it's very discordian and it's very conflict orientated. And I feel this is how to help you work with this challenge is there's going to be situations that are highlighting a deeper truth that this is calling you to pull back to, right? This awareness that you are in, like these blockages that are coming through with the Five of Swords, that it's still keeping you in survival mechanisms. And I know that sounds quite heavy, but with this Ace of Swords, it feels like these situations, and this can be internally as well with yourself, there's going to be activations that happen with these scenarios that is going to lead you to have the divine inspiration that's leading you back to your sovereignty. But there is this energy of there's a certain discord that's going on, and if you do find yourself in either the bully or the victim space, that Ace of Swords is really calling for a level of neutrality to see if there's another way of engaging with it. Whether that be walking away, having different types of conversations, having a higher level of awareness of realizing it's never the individual, it's the system. There's usually reasons why. I mean, we've all got to do the work though. So it's like, where are your boundaries in this journey? But yeah, I'm definitely feeling like there's a lot of activations coming in. Five of Swords for me is the most difficult card in the tarot. But there is this sense of through that process that it's taking you into this is Jupiter, by the way, retrograde, which can lead to a lack of abundance with the other, right? That a lack of ease with the other, but through that you are going to find such a deeper resonance with understanding who you are and how your frequency shows up rather than externalizing it. Right, how to work with this energy, how to amplify it. We have the 10 of Cups in reverse, the 7 of Cups, and the 4 of Pentacles. So again, it's similar energy to this. So this is how to amplify it. And it's calling you to reflect on the blockages around you believing in this happening, right? This is the 10 of Cups. It's about the external world representing your inner emotional alignment, right? Good job, good relationships, good family dynamics, whatever. I mean, those are the stereotypes, but whatever it is where you're witnessing in the external world, things going well, right? Representing that. And I feel like along with that Six of Swords in reverse, it's calling you to reflect on why there might be a resonance within you that's blocking the ability to engage with this, or for these things not showing up, or you not being able to see them, right? So often we have, even though we're thinking we're floating through life and everything's grand, there can be some resistance towards commitment, to intimacy, to joy, to love, to things going well. And that's often things that have happened in the early years or our ancestors or past life energy. So it's showing up in reverse. So it's saying, hey, maybe do some reflection on this, right? And see where you are in conflict with the reality of this, right? It can often be about having really high expectations, or even any expectations, let's be real. I often find it's best not to have any. And that's when you clear the conflict in yourself to how things are turning out. A lot of this energy is about trusting in the process. So it's calling you to reflect on that. And then it's asking you to dream, to fantasize, right? To go into the dream world, to possibilities that are beyond the rational, right? Beyond the limiting beliefs that we have. This is my channeling card as well. So for some of you, it might be working on your inner self in order to have a stronger connection with source. And then we're all channelers, by the way. We just all do it in very different ways. And we're all going through our own activation cycles. But it's saying, like, get out of your head in regards to this, find a level of serenity, and then get a bit delusional in your fantasies. I often find, this is Cups, that it's best to tap into the emotional feeling that you would feel, not the details of what's showing up, right? Of who you want to be, right? This is a real sense of allowing the magic to come through into your vessel, and then observing your actions as you do that, getting more creative, spending more time in your creative energy with that North Node in Aries with this moon. And outside of the drama, we then have the Four of Pentacles, right? Love this card. This is all about your inner frequency and being protected from the outside world in order to create and build from your frequency, from a place of sovereignty, a place of stability, and a place of sovereignty. I always feel there's a little force field around the Four of Pentacles, right? They've got a crown on, they are in alignment. Those pentacles are on the feet, heart, and crown chakra. This is a real sense of protection and manifest, and through that protection from the external world, being, as I say, being able to create from your frequency, right, in the 3D realm. So I would recommend some meditations with this card if you've got a tarot deck, or get the image up. And I've done this quite a few times. It's sort of like an energy check-in of like working with this card and then seeing, and then like clearing your energy and then seeing what energy comes through when you're tapping into your inherent frequency. Mine's very smiley, which is quite funny because I feel very detached. That's not so much the case anymore. For most of my life it was. Yeah, doing meditations on this, as well as when you wake up or when you go to sleep, doing protection energy around your force field. And it is saying, try and not externalize how you build and how you create and your power, right? That's big energy with the things that have come up here. So what's at the bottom of the deck? We have Judgment. Hello, Pluto. This is all about, so the whole thing is getting you to this space. And this is an ascension card. You see all these figures at the bottom, they are the dead, right? They are being raised up. Now, the dead can represent old versions of self, as well as your ancestors or past life energy. And essentially the angelic frequency that's coming through is raising up. So say you have an old version of self who's still holding very strongly onto a wound, even though you feel like you've moved on, but there's still a old version kicking around in your energetic field, or the ancestor that's felt grief and rage, whatever it is, where the energy's got entangled. And so that's still hanging around. And this card is always about releasing of that, right? Of these figures finally being able to let go and move on and then transform. This is really quite a powerful reading. It's not messing around. It is letting you know that there's going to be certain things that are coming up to help reorientate you. But if you just allow yourself that inner journey of being in a state of observation to what messages that you're getting from your inner self, is going to help a lot moving through this. And also getting out of your head around how you've seen the cycles in the past. We're in a new space now where we have a vast capacity to transform cycles and activate new pathways. And these cards are like, get out of your distortion or regret or pain or expectations around things that may not have manifested in the way that you'd like. Step into a bit of delulu, and then start creating from your inner power without the expectations. Right. What does Mercury want to tell you? So the intention of the Mercury retrograde is to get you to understand that you are of value, right? Is to be in awareness of your higher position in life. I don't always read the straightforward reading for this, because I often point out that this figure's a bit unsteady, right? And they're not quite aware of it. But with everything else that's come through, that's I'm not getting a resonance with this. You know, this figure is actually, what I'm picking up now is you being in competition with yourself. That there are certain parts of yourself that Mercury's helping you work through, where you're in competition. There's like a conflict energy internally that is stopped you from feeling your own value, from really knowing where you're at on this planet. And Mercury's going to be helping you out, as well as establishing a higher level of, oh, I'm on this cliff. I can see far. I know what I'm doing. So the challenge is the Four of Wands. Now, when the challenge for the Four of Wands shows up, this is you not being able to celebrate the work that you've done. You not being able to see it, right? You not being able to enjoy the journey, the growth, and give yourself a pat on the back. And I think that's definitely tied in with that 10 of Cups in reverse and that 6 of Swords in reverse, of you not realizing the reality around you and being able to feel very loving and confident towards yourself, and celebrating the hard work that you've done and all the milestones that you've achieved, right? So often we can forget the past, we can forget the journey that we've been on, and we put ourselves back to zero immediately. How to work with this energy? We have Gemini, we have the Lovers. You couldn't make it up, sad. So there's a real sense of union within yourself, right, of the masculine and feminine spirit, in order for you to be able to make the right decisions as you move through the world. It's also about falling in love with yourself again, as well as using the other as a mirror to do the work. Where has that been blocked? Where has that felt restricted? Where has that created a mask? As well as, you know, it also can very much be of calling you to allow a little more vulnerability with the other, and allow a little bit more of a openness to union. Right, we'll get one oracle card here. An openness to union, but in a way that is, it just feels like what's going on is you're working through old mechanisms when it comes to the other, with this integration, that you're going to get all sorts of reflections. You're going to get reflections of those old dynamics, as well as your heart is really wanting to open up through your actions and your deeds to implement your perspectives, your higher perspectives, with your creative energy in the way that you interact with the other. And that can see certain relationships fall away. That can also potentially like crack open certain dynamics, whether that's with yourself, with the other, with source. Right, we're getting an oracle card from 2 different decks. When I finish shuffling, I can't remember what's at the bottom of the deck. I think it's the Page of Cups. What do we have? Yeah, Page of Cups. So there's a real sense of communicating more of the magical realities, communicating from a place of love, observing the synchronicities, observing the offers that come through, and operating with them from a more open, playful space without letting that break down your resources, diminish your energy. So it's really allowing a bit more playfulness to come in while you're going through these difficult challenges, because when you work with both sides of the same coin, the resonance gets so much stronger. And it's not about being jaded or closed off. It's just allowing yourself to tackle these things in a mature way without losing your head, because it is serving you in the long term. Right, so we have from the 4 Agreements Oracle, which is a very mercurial deck. It was the book which I recommend. It's one of the few books that I will always recommend. It was written by a Virgo sun. It was given to me by a Gemini rising, this oracle deck. Always do your best. Take your life and enjoy it. You are alive, so take your life and enjoy it. You were born with the right to be happy, to love and to share your love. Just be. That's kind of summing up what I just said. To take a risk and enjoy your life is all that matters. So yeah, that's sort of falling into the one side of it, while at the same time being in awareness of there are things within you, they're in all of us, that are limiting us from truly being very, very heart open and very abundant in our nature. And that is part of the journey that you're going on of working through that without shutting yourself off. So again, that's kind of really summed up everything. Then we have the Horned God. The Horned Cactus, Resourcefulness. This is from the Shaman's Dream Oracle. I feel this is very Jupiterian. There's always a lot of wisdom in these. Blooming through resilience, resourcefulness, discovery. Again, just summed up this. Oh, love it when that happens. When nothing seems to be happening fast enough or your ideas have dried up, you begin to question your relevance. During these periods in life, you might feel like giving up, frustrated and resentful that success will never happen for you. The issue here, however, is a matter of perception. The horned cactus thrives in the barren desertscape, offering you the gift of water when all appears to be dry. If you look at its body, you see the natural thorns that protect it from predators and elements. What you don't see are the deep roots that extend far into the earth, filling it with a continuous flow of water. This succulent is a symbol of resilience, of resourcefulness, of your needs being met in spite of appearances to the contrary. Oh, this is so summing it all up. It's a reminder of the courage and inherent wisdom needed to dig deep below the less than friendly surface that hides a rich underground world. Can you connect to this magical truth and trust? The desert is a mystical place filled with mysterious creatures, beautifully adapted to their environments. The horned cactus tells you to take heart. This journey is only temporary, and you will soon be met with greener pastures. But first you must acknowledge your inner strength and fortitude as you're tested here. Be as the cactus, resilient and resourceful. Ooh, sad. Right, I'm going to get one more card from my current favourite deck. Love it when that happens, because then I don't feel completely mad doing any of this. So this next final card is from Rainbow Brainskull. Water the things you care about. It ain't always going to be dirt. Again, another confirmation. Everything big was once a tiny version of itself. The universe itself was once the size of a sesame seed. Trust that if you consistently show up and make the effort, your dreams will come to fruition. Right, we got a doubling down on all of those oracle cards with everything that just came through. I'm going to leave it there, Sag. I hope you enjoyed this reading. I hope I hope it resonated. If you want a personal reading, perhaps to go a bit further into this, or the Jupiter being opposite your sign, the Mercury retrograde, whatever you want to do, my details are everywhere. You can either book through my website or email me directly and do PayPal. What else did I want to say? Oh, by the way, there will be an oracle reading. These cards I always do before any transit, and this will come out after the all 12 signs series. Sagittarius, be good to yourselves, be good to those around you, safe travels, and be well until we meet again.